So I often hear that DPS is the only way to rank up and the best way to rank up. And today I want to kind of talk about why I don't think that that's really way too true and why playing other roles can be an easier way to rank up and a better way to rank up for a lot of players. Now, of course, this does not apply to every single player. I feel like if you are at a certain level of playing a DPS, of course, you're going to carry a lot more than other characters. Let's say, for example, you are like a top 500 Tracer and you're in Bronze, you're probably going to carry really, really well compared to like a top 500 Mercy. However, I feel like in many other cases, other than very specific ones, other roles can rank up a little bit easier. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to carry easier, but I'm saying long term, through months and weeks and years or whatever, you're probably going to rank up a little bit easier with some other roles. And today I want to try to argue kind of why that may be. Now, the first thing that I think is kind of important to keep in mind, and one of the main things that I think, kind of actually helps you rank up, is the fact that the majority of the hardcore players in this game do try to play DPS. The majority of the players that spam a ton of hours into this game, that really, really want to rank up, like gave up on everything else, switch to DPS, and go on from there. So when you kind of think about it, almost every single game you're playing with DPS players that are trying their hardest, that are putting in so much time. And I think when you compare that to a lot of the other classes, mainly support and tank, of course, you don't see that nearly as much. Now, there of course are some players that spam tons of hours as tank and tons of hours as support, and I'm not trying to, throw them under the bus or anything. But I feel like a lot of players, and if you look at your games, a huge amount of players playing support or whatever, are just kind of playing the game for fun or trying to rank up, but not 100% super competitive, flaming their team every single game. And I think that is a benefit to playing the other roles. If you get better at support, just a little bit, it'll be a lot just more powerful, I guess, in comparison to getting better a little bit at DPS. I feel like the very bottom bar of how good DPS players is a lot higher than the very bottom bar of how good support players can be in any given situation, or really just in any given different elo. Like I think like a 70 rank support could probably be playing in Masters while you need an 80 or a 90 rank DPS. I think it just takes a lot more work and a lot more time to rank up with DPS, and I think that you can really stand out a lot easier on stats and just really everything, elims, reses, healing, everything like that, by playing the other classes than DPS. I think that's just kind of how the system works right now, and especially when the new system comes out, I feel like other roles will probably be even better, and let's get onto that right now. Playing DPS is of course the hardest role to play, and the hardest role to get a good team comp with, because oftentimes if you're playing DPS every game, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of triple DPS games. And the fact about that is that if you're playing a bad team comp, while you can win, it makes every single game much harder. It'll just simply be harder games. And while you can win those, and while you can still keep that 50-55% win rate, it's going to make your games a lot more difficult than you picking a character that would fit team comps more. And especially with the new season where your stats can't really make up for you just not, I guess, winning a lot of games. There's not that independent SR really anymore. I think that's going to be something that matters even more. If you're trying to rank up as DPS and you're only playing DPS and you're having so many bad team comps and your stats aren't pulling you up a little bit and your win rate's going down a bit, I feel like that can hurt a lot of players trying to rank up in that way, and especially it'll boost a lot of the players trying to rank up by playing the other roles, at least in a lot of situations. Something else I should also mention that I feel like is important but probably going to be looked over by a lot of players is that I think that DPS is the hardest role to shot call as. Now, you still can do it, but I feel like you have to be at a certain level where you can kind of autopilot your DPS, know where you're supposed to be, get all your shots, play mechanically well, make sure you're not dying, and then after you have all that out, then you can try to shot call. But even in that situation, I feel like a lot of the times DPS has to be kind of by themselves. They have to kind of go off a little bit, maybe be in front of their team, around their team, or anything like that, and you're just not always in the best situation to shot call. And especially in solo queue, if you can shot call and have people actually maybe listen to you, that can win a game by itself, and supports and tanks can do that. Now, of course, some characters are a little bit better than others, some characters have more time. Reinhardt's a really good example of a person that can definitely shot call. Lucio, Mercy, Moira, a lot of these other characters. But I think that's something that we shouldn't really throw under the bus, because that can win you games, and especially when you have a lot of teams over and over again that just keep dying by themselves, keep diving in by themselves. If you're playing DPS, a lot of the times you don't really notice, and you're just kind of thinking about yourself, and while that can be good to improve at yourself, to actually rank up, that can kind of hold you back a little bit. And that's, I guess, another thing that I think is good about playing some other roles. And finally, the thing that I'm going to say about this, about playing DPS, is that while you can hard carry on DPS, especially if you are much better than your teammates and much better than your enemies, in a lot of cases, it's unlikely that you actually will hard carry as DPS. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, and when I was playing a ton of Reaper, I didn't always want to hear that. But that's just kind of how it is. Unless you are a ton better than everybody in your elo, or at least a decent amount better than everyone in your elo, you're not really going to hard carry. Sure, you might do pretty well, but in a lot of cases, the other factors that you're losing out from playing DPS, like team comp, shot calling, other stuff like that, that can kind of cancel out you being better than other people at DPS, and that can be kind of hard for yourself. Now, of course, again, if you are much better than everybody else, if you are a top 500 player, or even just a really high grandmaster, or you're just really good compared to everyone else, you will eventually climb pretty quickly. But I think it's very unlikely for you to just expect that you've been playing in Platinum for like 4 or 5 seasons, and, you know, now you're playing DPS, and now you're going to climb really quickly. I don't really think that that's super likely. I think instead, just picking the role that you want to play, if that's DPS, that's fine. But instead, you know, picking the role you want to play, grinding a lot of that, and just kind of going on from there will be a lot better than just, you know, picking up DPS and hoping that'll maybe carry you. Because you have to remember that so many other players are doing that as well, and a lot of other players have a lot more time on their DPS characters, and if you compare yourself to them, it might be kind of hard. Anyways, as always, guys, that's all I'm going to say about this topic. Please make sure to leave your own opinion in the comment section down below. I want to kind of know what people are thinking about this, what roles they think are the best, and for the majority of people. And now, again, I'm going to say, again, for the top level players and for the people much better DPS than everyone else, maybe it might be the role for you, but for a lot of people, I don't really know. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, or make sure to press the subscribe button or hit that notification button, as that is the real subscribe button. As always, guys, though, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.